question is for Alexandra. Elise is one of those characters that really grow on you with time. What was it like playing both the mean version of Elise and then seeing her grow past that?
Well, I'm happy to hear that she grew on you with time. That was definitely one of our goals. Um, as an actor, playing both those characters is great. I mean, it's kind of the best part of it for me. It's any kind of challenge, any kind of um, thing that's different for me as Alexandra is always something I really, really like. And one of the fun things about acting and getting to play characters like Elise is getting to do things that you would never do in your real life. And she definitely has a lot of those moments. And then obviously I'm so thankful to the cast who trusted me and gave me a lot of safe space to be able to be that mean and not hold it against me personally.
I love that. And Olly, you play Freddie, who is, joining Russo Rink again after, a kind of complicated past with Adriana. I wanted to hear from you. What do you think is going through his mind at that moment when he comes back to this familiar place?
I think it all comes rushing back to Freddie pretty quickly. I think he was really I think he thinks he had a handle on things, that he was going to come back and it was going to be okay, and that he was going to be able to deal with his, the past, both with being in the house and being back with Adriana. But I think when he comes back, he's just really overwhelmed with like that feeling of lost time and what could have been.
Definitely. And, I wanted to ask you this because I read the book beforehand, and Elise and Freddie share a kiss in the show, which was totally unexpected to me. When you guys were reading the scripts, were you guys also surprised by that moment?
That scene and really that whole episode is so well written that it is a surprise. And I remember when we were talking about it for both of us, it's such like I mean, it's not the right decision for either of us, obviously, but in the moment, they're both so down bad and like have been kicked almost in the heart and in the chest repeatedly that when we were filming it, it felt right. Like it felt like the right thing to do in the moment,
Yeah.
which I think kind of carries through throughout that episode and definitely into the next episode. And I will say, like, one of my favorite scenes was the scene in the kitchen when we have the conversation.
Oh yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it did feel kind of right. And not just because of like the circumstances that they were under uh in the time, but also, like there's a really large shared respect between Freddie and Elise. And I think they can kind of see eye to eye on a lot of things. And some of those things even unsaid. There's an understanding.
Me.
Yeah. So it definitely came as a surprise, but it wasn't necessarily one that came totally out of nowhere.
Definitely. And I guess my next question will be for you both. You can explore it in different ways. I think for Elise, there's the whole family aspect of, trying to maintain the rink, and also like the complicated relationships she has with her sisters. And for Freddie, he also has a bit of a complicated dynamic with his mom. What was it like to explore those things? Because I feel like it informs so much of both of these characters.
That one first.
Sure. Yeah. I think for Freddie, the history with his family is one of the most important things to his identity. Um, Both in just how difficult it was for him to grow up with a mom that wasn't really there for him and a dad that wasn't there for him at all, and carrying that sort of burden of familial expectation. And yeah, I think it's a pretty formative part of the character, and it also carries over into when he's coming back to the Russo household. A lot of characters in the show share some pretty similar struggles. So yeah.
Yeah, and for Elise, I mean, expectation, both said and unsaid, is kind of the main one of the main driving points of her character. The expectation her dad says out loud about what he sees for her future, and then also the expectation she feels her mom had for her and wanting to keep her mother's legacy alive in the best way possible. And for Elise, really none of the downsides of those expectations had ever been explored until she got hurt, and she had nothing but time to sit and feel how she was feeling in a pretty major way. So familial expectations is kind of a driving force in that show, I would say.
A pretty core theme.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously at the end, the pairings are switched. Riley is now Brandon's skating partner, and Freddie and Adriana are back together, both on and off the ice. If the show gets picked up for season 2, how do you think those dynamics are going to play out?
I mean, that's a pretty hard one to project in the future. Some of that you gotta just let Jeff do his thing.
Yeah.
But
Gotta let our writers cook.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I'm sure there will be drama from that. I'm sure there's gonna be lots of complications involved. But I think everything's just fuel for a great story.
Definitely. And for Alexandra, your character has become the ultimate team player towards the end, with worlds happening. Do you think that in season 2 she's going to go back to the ice? Or do you think she will continue to explore those behind the scenes roles?
I think everybody should watch Finding Her Edge on Netflix coming January 22nd so we can get a season 2 and explore both of those things and see what happens there.